If you look at the scheduling, more men's matches are consistently played on the two main show courts, Centre Courts and Court 1. The opening week of this year's tournament saw 25 men's singles matches played on the two main courts compared to 17 in the women's draw. That's meant that many of the leading ladies' matches have been consigned to the outer courts. For example, two previous runners-up at Wimbledon, Garbiñe Muguruza, and world #1 Angelique Kerber played each other on Court 2. And the current French Open champion, Jelena Ostapenko, knocked out #4 seed Elena Svitolina on Court 12 and is yet to feature at all on either of the two main show courts. Of the choice in court, Kerber said, "To be honest, I was really surprised that I was playing on #2 court. I was actually really looking forward to playing on one of the two big courts." And three-time Wimbledon champion Chris Evert also pointed out that if we have equal prize money, why don't we have equal representation on Centre Court and Court 1? Beyond the Games, Andy May has more from Wimbledon.
Hi, Semra. To add to what you have said, Andy Murray has also chipped in saying that he thinks it needs to be looked at, the scheduling here at Wimbledon every year. And Caroline Wozniacki went a step further as well, saying that it is unfair at Wimbledon how they schedule matches on the main two show courts in comparison to the other slams, so the US Open, which is next on the calendar, also Australia and the French Open that we've already had. Mark Masters is a senior reporter for TSN in Canada. You follow Milos Raonic quite closely, Ginny Bouchard as well. What is your take on the scheduling here? Do the players have a point when they talk about it possibly being unfair?
Of course they have a point. It is unfair. There's more men's matches than women's matches, and some of their top players are pushed to the smaller courts. I think they have the ability to do it. You know, start earlier, put two matches, women's matches on the show courts, two men's matches, make it equal. I don't know why they can't do that. I think that's the obvious next step. It sounds, based on what we're hearing from the officials, that that's where they're leaning towards. Certainly by the time 2019 rolls around and they hopefully have a roof over #1 court, I think we'll definitely see it by then. Why not sooner, I say.
Wimbledon love their tradition. They love keeping things their way, being different to the other slams. But if you can put a roof on a court, surely you can modify the scheduling and make it fairer. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a hard thing to do, right? Yeah,
and certainly if just on that, at least that day, Manic Monday, where there's so many great matches, and you got the world #1 and another player in Garbiñe Muguruza who was in the finals of Wimbledon and has won a major, pushed out to Court 2, you know, I just doesn't make sense to me. So you want to highlight the best players in the game on the biggest courts, and I understand we're in the Big Four era. Everyone wants to see the Big Four. I'm not saying take them off the courts. I'm just saying create your schedule in a way that allows the women to have their top players also get the same kind of spotlight.
Wimbledon say that it's not unfair, there isn't a problem, but I guess they would say that, really. They don't want to be seen to be admitting there's a problem. I personally think they will just make the changes, but they won't actually hold their hands up and say, right, yeah, we should have probably done this a bit differently this year.
Yeah, I mean, no one's going to stand up and go, we're being unfair. You know, obviously change takes time. You know, it's not the most grievous thing. It's just something where you can easily rectify it, so why wouldn't you do it? I mean, there's also an argument to say you want to limit the number of matches on the top courts. We've seen them this year get worn down quite badly. Novak Djokovic today just saying there's a hole on the court. You know, some players have not wanted to play on some of the courts because they're getting worn down. You know, so the club might say we want to keep less matches on those top courts. That's an argument I've heard, but I just think it makes sense, especially on a day like Manic Monday, where you have all the round of 16 matches. You're going to have some great matches that fans are going to want to see. Put them on the big courts, I say.
Yeah, and on that note, on the flip side to the argument about this being unfair, the only people who aren't really complaining are the ticket holders. They want to see the Big Four, and this is the first time since 2011 that we've had the Big Four in the second week of Wimbledon. So if they're not complaining, you could also argue, well, what's the problem?
Well, there's big problems with the schedule to begin with, because Novak Djokovic didn't get to play on round of 16 Monday, on Manic Monday. And I don't think that's fair to him. We saw the trainer out to take a look at his right shoulder there, and now he's got to play tomorrow, and then Friday potentially if he keeps winning. And everyone else who advanced didn't have to do that. So even with this schedule, even with the 3 matches, they still didn't get one in. So I think they got to look at getting it started a little sooner, and then also trying to make it equal. So I mean, there's issues there, and why not remedy it if you can?
Venus Williams is through to the semi-finals of Wimbledon. This is her 20th year. What's the secret, in your opinion? You've seen her a lot, to the longevity of the older of the two sisters.
Well, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, the top elite athletes, they love it, and she obviously loves it, and she works extremely hard, and she's got the God-given talent, and when you add that all together, and she keeps coming, obviously we know she's had the health issues, but there's something with inside her that keeps her going. Obviously, she's playing here under tough circumstances in her personal life. Going through that, the tennis court can be an escape, and has been an escape for her in her life. It's given her a lot. She keeps going. She loves it, and she's still at the top of the game. Why would you not keep playing if at age 37 you're still fighting your way to the semifinals of a major? And she could win this thing. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, she got to the final of Australia, only lost it because obviously her sister's better than her, but she's not here, Serena. So you have to say she's the one easily with the most experience here. She's the only one who's won Wimbledon left in the draw. It has to be a strong contender to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, 5 titles to her name, a potential opponent in the semifinals who will never have won a Grand Slam title. And, you know, Venus Williams standing there, very experienced. You've got to favor her in that match, I would think, regardless of the opponent. And so we'll see how it all plays out. But, yeah, Venus Williams, I mean, for my money, is the favorite right now.
We've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you very much for your time, Mark. As well as Venus going through in 2 sets against Jelena Ostapenko, Garbine Muguruza, the champion of the French Open last year, is also through to the semi. She got by Svetlana Kuznetsova, also in 2 sets. That match, though, not on centre court, but it was for Garbine on court number 1 today.